Hey guys, welcome back. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Courtney,
I'm Kenneth.
and this is the From Launch to Legacy podcast, where we talk about everything it takes to start and run a small business. So we've talked about a lot. Our last episode was about pricing. And then today we're going to start a 3-part series on scaling and growth. Before we get started, I just want to remind everybody that there are free resources on our website, www.havensconsulting.com. There's some kind of guide for every episode.
Yep, at least one.
And then, of course, because I'm me, some of them have extras like checklists and script notes and all kinds of extra goodies. So you can download those anytime for free at our website. And let's get into scaling.
All right.
So for those who are new and they're listening to our podcast in order, right?
Yep.
Completing every checklist and going one by one. They've never heard of scaling. So what is scaling to you?
Scaling to me is, from a math perspective, I think geometrically, it's just taking the current state and expanding it, proportionately. So basically just making a larger version of what you have now.
When you just said that, I was picturing the universe.
Oh, yeah.
Expanding.
Yes.
Like some of his videos that we watch. So that was pretty mind-blowing.
Pretty expanding your mind.
Yes. All right. So let's expand these guys' minds. So if you are like, hey, Vince, I only have 5 minutes. What's something I can do to help me right now? If that is you, then what you can do is write down your 3 most frequent tasks, the 3 things in your business that you do every single day.
Or multiple times a day.
Yeah. So write those down and then write the steps to complete them. Start with something easy. This is the beginning episode. This is like intro to scaling, right?
Yeah.
So don't be too hard on yourself, okay? Just write down those steps and then, hey, you've already started, right?
Right.
You've already dipped your toe into delegation and scalability.
Yeah, taking that first step is, like to say, it's the hardest step, but it's, once you do that, this stuff's going to start to fall in place pretty quick.
Yes. So, okay, so a little bit about us. So when I started a new job, like every new job, I had to take notes. I'm a late in life diagnosed ADHD.
Same.
So I now understand why this was happening, but I couldn't just watch somebody do something.
Right.
I couldn't remember. What I'm thinking about is learning a new cash register.
Yep.
They're always complicated. They have their own.
Yeah.
So I would just write them down. Just do that.
Right.
Write down the steps of that one thing you do every single day. And you're already going. You're already.
Yeah. And when you get those steps, though, if you're handing those off to someone, if they get stuck, don't help them, because, and that's not an indictment about them, but that's your process that you have written has a hole in it. And that's just a hole probably because it was something that was so ingrained in you and such an automatic autopilot thing that it didn't even occur to you that it was a separate step or something to write down. But for someone that's walking in, I've always, in my head, a correctly written procedure is one where I can take someone off the street and I can give it to them and they can accomplish it correctly and repeatedly.
Yep.
That is, you now have the correct process documented. Now, that's, you can get the ISO and stuff like that. There's some certain standards, and you certainly don't have to do all that yet. But when you do you're going to have to update and reevaluate these procedures. You're going to have a first draft, and there's going to be things that you're missing about it. So I think we'll get into that here in a minute.
All right. So let's start with talking about recognizing when. How do you know if it's time for you to scale? So what you want to make sure you're doing is you are scaling when it's healthy growth for your company
Yep.
and not when you've hit burnout.
Right. Because that's only going to make things worse.
Yes. And I know, I feel like the word burnout has been overused. And we will talk about burnout and lots of other stuff in the mental health
Yep. We keep talking
episode.
about, but we'll get there.
It's next.
Oh, is it next?
Yes, it's after this series on scaling because I feel like that's when you need it. You got all these employees, you need some help with your mental health.
Absolutely.
Okay. So signs that you are ready. You want to make sure that you have consistent demand, right? You've got a steady flow of clients or a waiting list even. That would be great. That you have healthy profit margins. So that means you're profitable, not just covering, regular costs.
Right.
Team capacity. So even if your team is just you, that you can handle taking on more.
Mm-hmm.
That you're the bottleneck. Now, this is Kenneth in our company.
Yep.
There's always somebody, right? Whoever's the top of that.
It's the weakest link. Someone is moving the slowest. Or some process is moving the slowest. There is, even if your process is 99% efficient, which no one's process are 99% efficient, but there's that 1%'s coming from somewhere, and something is bottlenecking more than anything else. So, that's you hate this term, but that's your low hanging fruit, is whatever's, bottlenecking the most.
Yeah. And I'd say it's also, can be your most technically skilled person. Right? It's who is doing, especially in service industry, that thing, right?
It often is the more complex, because you have less and less capacity to accomplish that. And the more that is concentrated across different processes or fields or whatever, that person now is stretched across all those with no relief, because in all, 1 or 10 domains, no one else has the technical skill. And you can get in that trap of, well,
it's faster if I do it myself.
Faster if I do it. I don't have time to train.
I knew exactly what he was going to say.
Yeah, because we've both done that. It's like, it's just faster if I do it myself. It is faster this time, but every time you say that, you have to add that time.
That's right.
And it could have been done. Could have been done by someone else.
Yeah. And the last one that we have here for signs that you're ready is that your time is maxed out. So we mean that in the quality of your product or service, or the health of your company, or even your personal health is going to suffer if you take on more. So that is going in the signs that you are ready. Let's talk about some red flags.
Yep.
So these aren't necessarily red flags that you cannot scale, but they're red flags that you need to pause and take a good look at your situation.
Right. Go back to that checklist of signs you're ready. That's, I would call this is a healthy scale. And I think we're about to talk about, this shouldn't be a reactionary thing, but sometimes you waited too long. And so now so you may have some of these, red flags. And if you do, you may have a little bit more of a complex, it may be time to scale. And if it gets a little more complex and a little in the weeds like that, give us a call. But I think, what you're about to talk about is kind of reorienting first, just making sure that you know what your problems are, so that way you know what problems to fix.
Yes. Okay, so some of those red flags are inconsistent revenue, and that's income that's unpredictable. So that can be for different reasons. You could have, so take us, for example. We did tax and bookkeeping and cleanups and formation. So that's a lot of different types of clients.
Yep.
And it's seasonal.
Yeah, and they all have different seasons depending on, tax season. Obviously, that's, first quarter and a little bit into the second. And surprisingly, a lot of the third, because of the extensions. And then, cleanups, those were really heavy in the fourth quarter or the first, because people are trying to get that year end caught up.
Okay, so just make sure that you're your revenue is consistent, and if it's not that you are, you're taking that factor into play. Like if you do have seasonal, maybe you have to just push through until there's a lull, or you have to hire seasonal
Right.
help, or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
Um,
And the key here is not that your revenue is not flat or growing on a straight line. That's not what I don't think that's what you're saying. You're saying not predictable, because you can understand the cyclical nature of your sales. If you if you're a Christmas store or whatever, you're aware that you're not going to have any sales in July.
yeah.
So there's inconsistent and then there's unpredictable, and
Okay.
those are not,
Yep.
I would say those are not the same thing.
Yep.
And so inconsistent, fine, if it's predictably inconsistent.
Yep. The next one is burnout. If you have hit a place where taking on any more work feels impossible, that does not mean that you should hire. Okay. I want to be very clear about that, because hiring equals more work for you.
Yep.
Always.
Especially in the beginning. It's going to be, because your work ideally should change over this process as you become more of a manager and, a driver of vision.
Yeah.
And you're going to talk about this here in a second, the difficulties in stepping out of those daily processes and the things that you kind of need to be okay with. It's still going to be the same, if not more work. And in the initial part in the training, it's going to be double to triple what you're doing right now. So,
and it's can be exhausting.
It can be more because now you're dealing with your clients and you're dealing with your employees, and you're dealing with training, but then that's putting you farther behind. So
now you have payroll and extra
right now you've got more expenses, but now revenue's slowing because you're training. And it's
so what we're saying is, if you've hit burnout, that is not the time to hire. It is time to pause
and reevaluate.
And reevaluate.
Yep.
The next one is operational chaos. So that is if you do not have any procedures written down, pause and write them down.
Yeah. We used to, I don't know if this is a politically correct term, but we used to, it was referred, I've always heard it referred to as tribal knowledge. And it's if you've got someone in the company and they know how to do it, but it's not written down anywhere. And if they get hit by a bus, if they get George O'Malley, they're, who knows how to do this?
Yeah.
And then I've watched countless situations at various companies I've worked for.
It's every company I have ever worked for.
Yeah, because that person's probably underpaid. Then they quit violently and quickly. And then everyone's like, then now your boss is mad at you because they didn't, write down procedures or tell someone to write down procedures, make sure it got done.
Yeah.
And then now we're trying to rebuild it from scratch and it's not good enough. And you're having to work out all the kinks. It's relearning a new skill instead of someone teaching you a skill. It's relearning it from scratch. And that costs you money and a lot.
So there was this company that I worked for, and I was trying to learn their new to me, most ancient.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
POS system I've ever seen in my life. POS is point of sale.
Well, it's got two meanings here.
Anyway, so it's one of my first days, and this is just, I'm late in life, ADHD diagnosed. So I now understand some of the behind why this was happening, but I have to write down what I'm learning. If you show me and it's got more than a few steps, nothing.
Right.
But if I write it down, I can do it. Even if I don't look at those notes, if I've written it down, I can.
Because that writing it down, it's like ingrained in your head. And I'm very different. I'm a horrible note taker. I was bad at notes in school. I was bad at notes at every job I worked at. Because even if I have all the steps, I can't repeat it.
Yeah.
I have to do it.
Yeah.
I need you to show me once and then let me be the pinball and bounce around off, errors until I get to where I'm going. And then I understand the why. And now
Yeah.
I can,
Now you can do it plus some.
deal with hiccups and things that kind of color outside the lines, which is where, we've seen countless employees that they learn the steps, right?
Mm-hmm.
And something gets just a little
Yes.
off, and they're just,
They cannot figure out, they can't troubleshoot.
yeah. When I see it, they have that look on their face, and in my head, all I ever hear is that old dial-up sound from like your
Yeah.
56K internet.
Yeah. Okay. So next is ignoring your numbers or not knowing them at all. So that is if you don't know your KPIs, if you don't know the financial health of your business, it is not time to scale. It's time to pause and look at how to fix the
Evaluate, get some information and understand. You don't know where to go if you don't know where you are.
Yep. So if you're feeling pretty good, if you think you've got some of those signs it's ready and you don't have many red flags to pause, here is an assessment. Just 5 questions that you can ask yourself. Has revenue been consistent for 6 months? Do we have healthy profit after expenses? Do we have a system for at least inquiries and onboarding? Do we know our biggest time drains?
Because that's also your biggest money drain in almost every circumstance.
And could someone else repeat our most frequent tasks easily? So if you answered yes to those 5, you are ready to get started.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, here's where in my notes where it says talk about that scaling should always be a choice and not a reaction.
Correct.
So if you're listening to this episode, you are probably in a place where you are thinking about scaling.
Probably pretty close or past capacity at this point.
Yeah.
And that's why you're now looking at it.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're hoping that everyone, started with episode 1 and just listens in order and does all of my handy dandy worksheets. So they are getting ahead of the game.
Yep.
But I promise you, we did not.
No.
I did not do these steps in the way they're laid out in the correct order. In the beginning of our adventure is so hard to find any information.
Yeah.
A lot of our stuff was reactionary.
Yeah.
So that's the whole point of this, is to give you the tools so that you don't have to be reactionary. But if you are at a place where you have some of these red flags, you are over capacity, it's okay. Don't feel bad. We'll talk more in the mental health episode about all the stuff behind the scenes. Don't be too hard on yourself. You can still go through this process, right?
Right.
Okay. So now we're going to talk about delegating. So before you hand off a task, you need to prepare yourself, because it's not easy.
No, it's not.
It's really, really, really not easy.
Especially if you fixed or built the process yourself.
Yes. Okay, here's some tips. You want to have a good enough mindset, right?
Yeah. Now, this is not, we'll do the bare minimum standard.
Right.
Is this going to be reasonably acceptable? Not a 70.
Yeah.
But an 85.
Yeah.
You're used to making 100 on it, but
I think when we talk about some stuff later on, we say 80%.
Oh, yeah. Then
so yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like exactly what Kenneth was saying. Your good enough mindset needs to be 80%, not 40.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And you need to give your team members some grace. You need to remember that maybe you've been doing this for 3 months, or maybe you've been doing it for 3 years like we have. Okay. But also maybe you've been doing it for 30 years.
Yep.
Because you've been doing this thing forever, not just in this position, not just in this company, but in your entire career. And you need to realize that maybe they are not starting where you were starting.
Right.
So just good enough, give some grace. Okay. Tip number 2, start small.
Yep.
You want to do a simple, low risk task, something that can build confidence. We've talked about this before. I don't know if we have on the show or not, but like if you're doing financial statements.
Yeah, this is exactly what I thought. When you had this great idea. Now you tell it was your idea.
Okay. So we had, oh my goodness, a mess to deal with. 7 years of back financial statements. So Kenneth was handing it off to an employee, and we talked about, okay, how are we going to do this, right?
Right.
Okay. Show her how to do it. If write down the process. If you think she's got it, great. Do one.
See, this is where I was like, okay, because I have a bad habit of handing off the whole thing.
And then, you're at the end of the project and you're like, this is all wrong.
We have to redo all. It's so much. The time that was spent the first time is wasted. Now you've got the undoing it,
Yes.
and then the doing it correctly. There's so much wasted time.
Another thing, though, if this is an integrated process, is what did you mess up?
Oh, right. What else? Yeah. What can, things down the pipeline did this catalyst affect?
Yes. Not that this employee that we started this with would ever do that. She's wonderful.
Yeah.
But that has happened in the past in our
careers. I mean, not just here, just everywhere.
Okay. So what it is, sorry, off topic, is so give them one thing to do. Like we were saying, financial statements, give them one. Okay.
Like 1 month.
Mm-hmm. And well, I was going to say just one.
Oh, yeah.
And then they did that fine. Okay, great. Then you give them 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They did that one, or you need to adjust.
Right.
If you need to adjust, then you just do 1 month again.
Right. You repeat that step, that many, however many you gave them, you repeat that until they get that correct.
Yep. And then you can do 6 months or a year, depending on how confident you are. Okay. They've done that one. All right. Now they can do 7 years.
Right.
Start small and add to it.
Because then you fix corrections on a small scale, and then you have the ability to do it correctly on large scale. So I'm a horrible delegator.
I am too.
Yeah, it's hard. It is hard to delegate because you're like, we say this all the time. It's just quicker. It'll take me less time to do it than to train.
Yep.
But that's only in this instant, not in the long term.
Yep. And not everyone hires their daughter and says, I cannot train you on this, so I'm giving you the department.
Yep. Figured out.
Okay. 3rd tip. Oh, that was something not to do, in case that was not clear.
Yeah.
Tip number 3, focus on what and not the how. So clearly explain the outcome that you want. Sometimes there is a do this in this order exactly this way.
Right.
But I'd say most of the time it's this is what I need. These are the main steps to get there. Do it.
Being okay with not the way you would do it.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yes.
Because you're like, just do it. If this way would be so much better. Now, sometimes they figure out something, you're like, holy crap, I was dumb.
Yeah.
Why was I doing it my way? That's so much better.
Just because.
Yeah, because
it worked once.
Yeah.
So then you just kept repeating it.
Right. And so many times, when we do process improvement, I call them Frankenstein processes, right? So you started out with a process, and then there was an exception. So we kind of tacked on, how to handle that exception. And then we had this other exception. And then over the years, we've kind of got this Frankenstein process, but now there's a whole bunch of unnecessary steps because we didn't think about how it affected it as a whole now.
Yeah.
And so, we do what we call a process reduction, and we, do some Boolean algebra and some stuff like that to eliminate unnecessary steps. That's very easy to happen. And if you want to know if that's happening, hand that process off to someone that hasn't done it before and see if they think you're dumb.
Okay, so here's some things to ask yourself if you're ready to set this up. Here's your delegation readiness checklist. Okay. So you have a list of tasks that consume most of your time. I
Mhm.
think I think people can do that pretty quickly,
Yep.
especially if they've done a time
I was about to say,
study.
I would recommend a time study because if you don't, you're gonna be wrong. You're gonna think you
Yeah.
spend time on this, or
Yes.
like this is what's training my time, and then you do a time study and you go, "Oh, I
Yes.
spent 3 times as much time doing this thing, but it's broken up in all these tiny bits, so I
Mhm.
didn't know."
And we talk about that in last episode, pricing. So if you have your prices set, so you skipped that one, there's still some good information in there
Mhm.
and some info about time studies. The second question is, I'm willing to let go of the need for perfection and trust someone else. Be honest.
That's exactly what I'd say.
Are you truly willing to let go?
Mhm.
Like I was talking about handing something off to my daughter. She is our social media and marketing, right?
Mhm.
And I was beyond ready. I said,
Oh, yeah.
"Here, have it.
Yeah.
Take it all."
Yes.
Now, you don't have to be in that kind of situation, but you do have to be willing to let somebody else do it.
And I like what you said earlier about focus on the why,
Mhm.
not the how,
Mhm.
because again, the way you do it, and this is something I learned very early on, was no one ever does anything the way I would do it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why is this because my brain works very differently.
Yes.
And understanding that my way may be more efficient, my way may be objectively
Mhm.
better, but understanding that someone else's brain doesn't work well in this process and
Yeah.
it's going to cause more mistakes than if we just let them do it their
Yep.
own way,
Yep.
we get the good results. And that's all. You got to be result focused,
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
don't micromanage because you're gonna destroy your people.
Yeah. Also, sometime down the line, we'll have an episode on employees,
Hmm.
and hopefully your employees, you already trust them. You already have a relationship with them. Or if you are looking to scale, like we're talking about right now, and it's your first employee, hopefully that episode is out and you can skip ahead and listen to the employees episode, and we'll give you some advice on how to hire because it is scary and difficult.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And it's very easy to make the wrong decision.
Yeah. Okay, I am able to clearly communicate a process or set of instructions, especially when you're just starting out. Don't give them something you cannot explain.
Yeah. That's Yeah, if you don't understand it, that's not a fair ask of your employees.
Yeah. I have a way to easily share documents and resources. We talked about this in probably the
Your
first
back
or
end episode.
second. Yeah.
Yeah.
We use SharePoint, or you can use Google Docs, or
Mhm.
or any of that.
iCloud or
Yeah.
any cloud-based
Yeah.
document service.
I mean, even if you have to email back and forth, but you do have a way to get resources back and
Right.
forth because you probably have not given them everything that they need this first round of delegating. You haven't really figured out this system yet. And then I'm prepared to answer questions and provide feedback. There will absolutely be questions.
Yeah, because 'cause you're gonna miss steps on the process.
Yes. Yep. Productivity is going to slow down.
Yes.
Always, because you're doing something new.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Why does this matter? Because if you don't have a path and a system for delegating, then you're going to be the bottleneck forever.
Yeah, you can't scale.
Yeah.
If you can't delegate, you can't scale because it's the
Yep.
first step of scaling.
Yep. Okay. Well, if you answered yes, then you are ahead of the game. Um, Something to remember though is that delegation is a
Mhm.
a skill.
There you go.
Delegation is a skill, and it requires practice. It's hard. It
Mm-hmm.
does get easier. You get in a rhythm, you get a groove,
Yep.
but it is hard in the beginning. So now we're going to talk about SOPs. So that's standard operating procedures. That's the DNA of how to scale. That's the blueprint
Mm-hmm.
for how your business works, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this we'll talk throughout this whole series about SOPs,
Yep.
about standard operating procedures, because they're so incredibly important.
Yeah.
So,
And you want to make sure that these standard operating procedures, there's kind of 3 steps in here of it needs to work right now. It
mhm,
needs to be primed to be able to change and adapt to the scaling,
mhm,
and also needs to have what I would call a valid end state for the once you're scaled. Because if your process is going to break when you're scaling, you don't have a scalable process,
yeah,
and that's a pre-scaling task to take
yeah,
care of.
yeah. So keep that in mind when you are writing these first
Mm-hmm.
SOPs. So this is just the simple template. Um, you want the title, right?
Right.
Whatever,
What you're
it is.
doing.
Yeah. Client invoice process or whatever you're doing. The purpose, why it matters.
This is really important
Yeah.
because I read this thing on I don't know where I saw it, but it was this morning, and it's talking about neurodivergent people. Like if you give them a rule and it doesn't make sense, they're not going to argue with it. They're going to ignore it.
Yeah.
But if you give them a rule that makes sense, they will be so frustrated when people aren't following it. It's like we
Yeah.
had clear direction. If people understand why they're doing something, because I said so isn't a why, by the
No.
way.
No.
Or
Not in parenting and not in business.
no, or that's the way we've always done it.
Correct.
You know, that we always rode horses and then we got cars.
Yes.
But yeah, conveying the why what this person is doing matters and contributes and isn't just some busy
Yes.
work task that you handed off.
Yes. You will be so surprised at how much just explaining why things matter will help and make confrontation
Right.
less.
And I explain, the consequences of,
Mhm.
when we do this, we get this. And if we don't, this happens.
Yeah.
Understanding the positive and the negative consequences of it.
Yeah. And, that also can help someone see something in a different way than you do. And they can, if they understand why you're doing this, they may be able to speed that process up.
And that's why I really like to commit, like you said earlier, it's such a good anchor for this delegation is explain the why,
Yeah.
not the how. Because again, you've done that, you built this slowly over years and years and years, probably your ability to do this. And it's not that the person you're training doesn't understand the concept. They're
Yeah.
just not familiar with your processes.
Yeah.
Those are different things.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can have someone that worked in the industry for 30 years, but they're still gonna have to learn your system, your
Yes.
processes. Um, and but they may have a different way that's it could be 10 times faster.
Yeah.
It could be 10 times cheaper with the same quality. So, focusing on the what we're trying to accomplish, not the how we accomplish it, because they may have a better way. And if it's not, then you can show them your way, which is better than theirs. And now we have the best way that we've found so far.
Perfect. Okay. The responsible person, I think that one's pretty clear.
Right.
Who's going to do this?
Yeah.
And then step-by-step instructions. You want clear, numbered steps. You want to make them as detailed as they have to be, but not so detailed that it becomes a jumbled mess.
Yeah.
That is hard for me. When I start these guides, they're so wordy.
Yep.
I mean, sometimes they can be 14 pages.
Because there's so much information that you've got that you're
Yeah.
dumping onto paper.
Yes. That if I gave you a 14-page part 1 on scaling, you're not going to finish it.
Your eyes are gonna glaze over.
Yeah, it's so you want to make sure that you're getting the point across in the most concise way.
And we'll talk about later, probably in a later episode. The way we approach this a lot of times is, flow charting, because
Mhm.
if you flow chart it, it doesn't allow you to, you have to look at the process as a cohesive system. And so you can't have ends that don't go anywhere,
Yeah.
because you will see that, oh, well, I never thought about that. It's just something
Yeah.
that's so automatic. It's like, okay, well, yeah, now we put this in here, and then you just write those steps down in order, and now you have a really good process. Also, pro tip here on flowcharting, if you're taking an old process and redoing it, you want the old process to look ugly and sloppy. Do it on a whiteboard. Have whoever has the worst handwriting do it with the worst boxes, which is always me. So it's
Oh, for sure.
for sure.
Or Delaney, who's the
Yeah.
most creative person, worst handwriting.
Yeah. And my brother used to say I had a serial killer's handwriting.
Do
Which
you
I'm not.
think Delaney's gonna, like, I don't know, draw faces on us or put my parents are awful
No, I don't. I
while
don't
she's
think
editing this?
that'd be hilarious. It'd be on the outtakes. But yeah, make your flowcharts ugly and then make the new process
Pristine.
because if you make the old process like in Visio or something, you put it up, people don't want to change clean looking processes. If you make an ugly one, people erase stuff, and you'll get input. Also, look for the person with the scowl on their face in the team meeting, because that person has something to say.
Yeah.
And then go in private, not in front of everyone, because they'll get the mob riled up. Talk to them in private and get their input, because they probably have some valid input. They're going to rant a little bit, but they also have some valid input.
Okay. Well, there's some pro tips for farther down the line. I think that was exciting. I didn't know where we were going with it. I have an overwhelming urge to get a whiteboard out.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just
I love a whiteboard.
My heart's racing for that whiteboard. Me too. Okay. Why does this matter? Why do standard operating procedures matter? They save you time. They reduce errors, and they're absolutely essential for training new employees. Don't make your new employee have to write out the training manual because they have no idea what's going on and no one can really tell them. They just can be like, well, then you hit F4 and then you hit escape. There's no mouse here.
Or but say that our software runs in DOS and doesn't have a mouse.
Yes, insane. And, back on why it matters. This creates a consistent experience every single time for your team and your clients.
I love that, because consistency is the McDonald's, right?
Yeah.
McDonald's.
It's not always great,
but it's never bad.
That's right.
Right? It's consistent. You go to McDonald's and you know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
You know what you're going to get, or within a pretty narrow bandwidth of what, the fries aren't always, sometimes are
I was
really
just about
good.
to say, either the fries are soggy.
Yep.
And they're fine, or they're crispy and great.
Good.
But and the burger's hot or it's not so hot. It's never terrible. It never doesn't taste exactly the same.
Right.
It's just, how fresh is it?
Yeah. I've never got McDonald's and been like, I can't eat this.
Yeah.
But I've pretty much any other restaurant or fast food place, I've had at least one experience from like, what? Did they get this out of the garbage? What am I doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, these SOPs, they're super important, and they're gonna, consistency, what you just said. Also, side note here, your new employees should not be writing the processes, but they should be taking notes.
Yes. Did I mention that we're going to have I did an episode on employees.
Yep.
That is one of the number one things.
I don't teach things unless someone's writing.
Yeah. Because what are you doing?
Yeah, because I'm not going to repeat not that I'm not going to repeat myself. If you've made a
good effort
and we need some more clarification, that's different. But if that's like same thing with waiters, right? If you don't write down my order, my order better come
right.
It better be right, because there's no reason for that.
Yeah.
Now there's some awesome servers out there that I've seen take an 8 top in their head with like, well, I'll remove this, and their stuff comes out perfect.
Yeah.
Not me. I was not me as a waiter.
Oh no,
I didn't
write
even know the
everything
menu.
down. Okay, so here's just some essential SOPs for every business. Some
Standard operating procedures?
yes, some SOPs.
SOPs.
Okay. So, initial inquiry response. So this would be like you get your first email or someone messages in on social media.
Someone walks into your cup store.
Yes. Cup
First contact with
store.
client.
Yes. How does that go? And that one is going to be a more flexible one, but you want everybody to be starting with the same information, right?
There may be 15 ways that step 1 happens, but
Yeah.
all 15 should go to the same step 2.
Yes, absolutely. That was perfect. Okay. A proposal creation and presentation, if that's something that your company does, contracts, kickoff procedures, um, follow up and feedback, when and how,
Yep.
right? We've talked about that in some other episodes, but you need to be following up after the job is done. How do you do that? Where do you do that? Are you calling them? Are you sending them a card in the mail?
Yep.
Are you sending an email with a request for a review?
And I take there's a concept in computer programming that I kind of take to this that I really started to adapt for things I'm doing on a daily basis or on a regular basis. There's called dry programming. There's wet programming. Dry is don't repeat yourself. If you have to do it twice, you should have made a template. There
Okay.
should be something that you could just, and wet is the opposite of that, where it's wasting everyone's time.
Okay.
So don't repeat. If it's something like your proposals, like you just said, if you're going to send out proposals, you better have a way of very quickly
Yeah.
creating a proposal, just auto like populating and it sends easy. If you're having to rewrite the template in
Yeah.
Excel, if you did that twice, you did it wrong once at
Yes.
least.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do it more than once and you've done it once, it doesn't mean you can't improve it and change
That's
it and
right.
tweak it, but it better be still around to use next time.
Yeah. And now we have AI.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, when I start these, I start with 14 pages.
Right.
I don't handwrite every word of those
Right.
14 pages. I put in all of the things I can think up on that topic, and then I have it add some more things,
Yeah. Get
you
some,
know?
oh, yeah. And let's talk about that. Oh, well, that's not right.
Yeah.
Let's change. That
There's
was wrong.
definitely a lot of, no.
Yeah, I don't know where you got
Yeah.
you got that off Facebook, didn't you?
Yes. Okay. Some internal operations procedures that you can start with are your daily business routines. And if you are newer business or you have newer employees, have them write down what they do every day
Yep.
and add to that as they learn new things. And then you already have it. And
And
they're already trained to be writing everything down.
that's right. And if you want to make sure that those SOPs are foolproof, you can take a double win here, cross train.
Yes.
And have them cross train off those notes because they will give feedback
Yes.
on how the notes need to improve. But now you don't have just one person that knows how to do it.
Yep.
So now you have made your staff more competent and capable. You've also made documentation better, which makes training and new hires better. This is a compounding benefit.
Yes.
And
I love cross training. And one thing that you don't think about is you could have two people that are in positions that they're okay with and they cross train
and they love the other job.
and they want the other job.
Yeah.
And it is their wheelhouse and it is their motivation. And you just found now 2 employees are working harder than they ever have.
Right. Because they are passionate.
Yeah.
And going back to, it's the why, not the how. If you give them all these steps, this is a process that they inherited. It's a task that they have to do. If they built the B through Y, you give them the A through Z, they own it. It's their process. That's their baby. And they will get defensive if you try and break it. And they will be passionate and they will work hard about it. The more ownership that your staff has of their job, the better they will do, the harder they will work, the better of a relationship you will have, the more trust you'll have.
Yeah.
It's just a win all around.
Yes. Some other ones are quality control, which we will talk a little bit about in the next episode. Review processes, how to back up your data.
Yes. And if you're not backing up your data, that's step one.
Yes, definitely do that.
Like, turn this off. We can pause it and come back when you've got a backup.
Yeah. Some marketing and sales, lead generation.
Checking the bank balance every day.
Okay.
What's that look like? If you need a simple, please be checking your company bank balance daily, at least daily. That's, super easy. How do we document that? That's great. That's a easy one to start with and figure some things out on.
Okay, so some social media and posting, networking event participation, how your referral program is, and start simple, build upon, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, well, those were different ideas for what you can start with. Next steps. So one thing that you can do this week, document one frequent task. Just do it. Just do that. By the end of the week, you'll have your first SOP. You will have gotten in the groove, and you didn't have to set extra time out, right? You just do it while you do it.
Right.
If you do that,
you're going to get addicted.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are. You're going to be handing everything off.
If you own your own company, you love being the boss.
And you love handing things off.
Yeah.
I love to be able to hand something off and trust that it will get done.
And if you have started, especially if you're early on and you're getting ahead of the game, if you start writing these procedures down and kind of tweaking them as you go, you will have so much.
When you hire your first employee, it'd be so easy. And they'll be like, wow, this place really has their stuff together. Because hey, we've all worked at that company that you went in and you were like, how is this company this big? How did y'all make it this far?
Yeah.
The captain's drunk at the wheel and the first mate's asleep.
Absolutely.
Like, what's happening?
Yes. Okay. Why does this matter? This one act of documenting things provides an immediate foundation for delegation and scaling. Even if you just have one, it's one. It's a basis. It's a foundation. It's a starting point for the rest of them.
Foundations are not complex. It's a cement slab on a house. It's simple, but without it, everything else falls down.
That's right. That's right. It will set you up for success.
You people that played sports, fundamentals. Like that's what gets hammered into. Same thing in business, fundamentals. Because if you forget those things, you can't do the hard, complex, big things.
Yeah. Okay, well, that was it.
Yeah.
That is all for
part one.
Part 1. Part 2 is going to get a little more complicated. It's about who to hire. We've got what?
You said it's going to get a little more complicated. Avril Lavigne started playing in my head.
Who to hire in the contractor versus employee versus outsourcing realm. Not employees and how to manage those. This is what help to get.
Yep.
When and how to get it. That is the first part of part 2. And then we're going to do, I'm going to say, a tiny little snippet intro into systems.
Ooh.
Tiny little intro.
You're going to have to rein me back when we get there.
And some quality control over your process stuff. That's what's going to be in part 2. Part 3 is even more complex than that. So if part 1 was scary, skip 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Don't even worry about them for now. If part 1 was like, I already know all of this, that was nothing. Just you wait.
Yeah. Go to video 2.
That's right. So we just want to remind you guys again that there are free resources on our website, guides that correspond with the podcast, and tons of extra checklists and scripts and how-tos and all kinds of stuff. The website's www.havensconsulting.com. And we just want to thank you guys for sticking with us through all of this, and we would love if you would send us a comment or send us an email if you've got a question or anything that we've said has helped you. We would love to hear about it.
Yeah, our passion is helping small businesses. So if we've helped you, or if you need help, let us know. We love to hear that.
Yes. All right. Well,
Bye.
bye.